I just got back from the beautiful state of Washington where I visited some amazing wineries, Public Market in Wenatchee, and the Gorge, and I want to tell you all about it. Now, while staying in Washington State, we stayed in Wenatchee, which is a town about 3 hours outside of Seattle. We rented this Airbnb in the Mission Ridge area, which is only about 20 minutes from downtown Wenatchee, where they have restaurants, cideries, and tap rooms. Now, I was on a trip with 4 other people, and this house was perfect. It had 3 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms, and an amazing outside area with a hot tub and lots of seating. Having the fire pit was really nice to have on while we were enjoying the scenery, and we got quite a bit of use out of it. They had this old ski lift you can sit on, or these Adirondack chairs. They also, on the deck, had a grill and seating for 6 if you want to eat outside. And they had this ring toss game as well. 10 out of 10 on this Airbnb. Alright, the first place we went to was Pybus Public Market in Wenatchee, and this was about 20 minutes from the Airbnb. This is located along the Columbia River, and if you've ever been to the public market in Seattle, this is basically like the little baby sister version, but they even do have a place where you can buy fresh seafood. Now I'm going to take you for a walk down the entire public market and back and talk about a few things along the way, especially quite a few of the places that they have here which are really unique to this area. They have such a variety in here, including a meadery, which we'll actually come back to because we went to it, and this little local winery that has 5 tastings for $10. You can't go wrong. This is one of the dining options in the public market, Huck's at Pybus, and this is an offshoot of a local restaurant called the Wild Huckleberry, and we went there for breakfast and their food was amazing, so if their food is anything like them, check them out. Now, the Pybus in Pybus Public Market is actually a nod to the history of the building, as in the 1940s it was a warehouse for Englishman E.T. Tom Pybus and his steel company, so that's what was originally in this building when it was constructed back in the 1940s, so pretty interesting history. Over here we have Cafe Columbia, where you can get coffee, pastries, and breakfast sandwiches. And then next to that we have Fire, which is Italian-inspired dishes and appetizers and cocktails. Right next to Fire is of course Ice, where you can get juices, smoothies, ice cream, and even some charcuterie options to take on the go. Now, just like the public market in Seattle, there's a place here where you can buy locally sourced, fresh meats and seafood, and this is Mike's Meats and Seafood. Now, across the way is a restaurant called South. It's a Mexican-inspired restaurant, and I didn't film anything there, but I will say over the couple days we were here, we did come back to this market a couple times, and we went to South a couple times, and the food and the margaritas were awesome. To the right is a little farmer's market stand where we bought stuff for our picnic at the winery that we'll show you later. And right past some of these shops is a place called the Tap Room where you can get beer and wine from local brewers and winemakers. Now, our favorite place we went here was McGregor Farms Honey and Mead. We love Meads, and theirs was delicious. Their shop was mostly made up of their honeys that they make for sale, but then also products that incorporated the honey they make. You could even buy their own delicious meads bottled up right there in the cooler to go. Now, of course, we had to sample the mead, so we all got our own mead flights, and my favorite on the flight was a small batch hibiscus lime. The second day in Washington, we went to wineries, and the first one we went to was Martin Scott Winery. As soon as you pull in and drive through the vineyards, you can immediately see the view of the Columbia Valley. So we learned that Martin Scott Winery is actually one of the first wineries in the Wenatchee Valley, and that the father of the family made his first batch of wine in an apple bin barrel in their garage. So literally from the garage to the vineyard is what the story is here. Now, as you can see, this vineyard and property sits on a ridge that looks over the Columbia River, and I mean, just look at this view. This view is one of the best things about this vineyard. As we walk the property here, you'll see there are so many different ways you can see this view. This is just the first view, and look over there, they have old ski lift chairs that you can sit in. Now, if you look up Martin Scott Winery, you're going to get redirected to another website. It looks like they're in the middle of a rebrand or the rebranding. It's now Circle 5 Winery, so that's what a lot of the stuff says inside and what their new website says. Well, now that we can dig the view of this place, let's see if we can dig the wine. So we need to go into the tasting room and grab some to try. And we grabbed a picnic table with a bottle of the sparkling rosé. It was a little dry for my taste, so I give it a 6 out of 10. And here's that beautiful view of the Columbia River again. And as I mentioned, you can see that view a couple different ways at this vineyard, and one of them is by walking through the actual grapevines. So as you saw, this is the Cabernet Franc grapes. They label the grapes as you're walking through the vineyard here on the edge of the ridge and see the view of the river and the other side of the mountains. This winery has so many neat and unique seating options. As you can see, there's several tables here that are just right along the ridge and right within the grapevines that look over the river and to the other side of the mountains. And this property is just gorgeous. One of the most beautiful I've ever been to, and one of the most unique when it comes to wineries. And here's some more of those great seating areas that look right over the beautiful Columbia Valley. Alright, let's take in one more pan of the view before we move on to the next winery. The second winery we went to was the Malaga Springs Winery. We didn't stay here very long, but the property was gorgeous. The wines just weren't stuff that we really liked, but we stayed a few minutes to soak in the views, and I'm glad we did. Now, the B Estate Winery in Quincy, Washington, which is right next door to the Gorge, is where we wanted to spend most of our time because this is one of the most beautiful wineries I've ever been to. I mean, look at this property. This winery is green and luscious. They have a piazza where you can picnic, and they have gorgeous views of the Gorge, pun intended. I mean, how can you not think that view is absolutely beautiful? This is the piazza where a lot of people tend to hang out because it offers shade and the grass is green and lush in there. But you can sit in there and picnic, and as long as you buy wine from their tasting room, they don't mind what you bring as far as food's concerned. So we've brought cheese, crackers, meats, little sandwiches, and we just sit in the piazza, buy their wine, which is pretty good and not that expensive, and we sit and just enjoy the beautiful weather, which is what we did this day. Now I'm following the path to the tasting room, and we're going to go up and grab some wines for the day. Everyone here is super friendly, always waving at the camera and saying hi. I mean, I know when you walk up to the tasting room, you really want to get that wine, but just take a minute to soak in this view and look at the gorge. Look at how far into the gorge you can see on a clear day out here. I mean, you can see the entire winery, the entire property. It's gorgeous. Again, pun intended, just beautiful. Now this is the Cave B tasting room where you come up and get the good stuff, and it's just a nice, cool, air-conditioned area where they have restrooms and you can grab snacks and some bottles of wine. Now this is Cave B's wine list. As you can see, they have a wide variety here, everything from sparklings to whites and reds. You can get it by the glass or the bottle. We usually get a couple bottles for a few people, and that's perfect with our picnic stuff. They also set up a stage in the field where they have live music. Now that I've got some wine, I'm going to go back down to the piazza where my friends are picnicking and join them. Now this is the piazza, my friend's over there to the right, and this is basically their picnic area, and this sign just says guests may enjoy our picnic area and eat food they bring onto the property if they enjoy some of our wine. And we enjoyed a couple bottles of their Gewürztraminer, which is a sweeter white wine. And this is me just enjoying the sunshine in the piazza. Right past the piazza outside the back is a little walking path where you can see the vineyard and the grapevines, and again, look at the gorge. You can see the canyon and the view right from the vineyard. Such a breathtaking and relaxing view. I was checking out the area by the live music stage as I was heading back into the wine room to grab another bottle of Gewürztraminer. Cave B is not just one of my favorite wineries in Washington, but one of my favorite wineries I've ever been to. Honestly, if you're in Washington State and near the Gorge, Wenatchee, or Quincy, definitely check out Cave B Estate Winery. You will not regret it. 10 out of 10 all the way. And another great thing is you can walk right from Cave B Estate Winery over to the Gorge right next door. They have a walking path. And again, look at this view. I mean, when the sun sets at the Gorge, it's something you don't want to miss. If you're there for a concert, you definitely want to get there early because you want to make sure you have time to take in the view. When you get to the top of that hill and you look over and you see this view of the Gorge and the stage just looking like it's hanging out the end of a canyon with that sunset, it's just something you're going to want to take time to soak in and remember. I know I did. All in all, I highly recommend visiting Washington State outside of Seattle. There are so many beautiful areas, and again, Wenatchee, Quincy, this area where the Gorge is, very highly recommend. 10 out of 10, and we'll be back. Another successful trip down. We can dig it, and if you can dig this content, like and subscribe for more to come.